Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Yellow Talks. My name is Manel Aicha, and I'm part of the marketing and business development team. And I'm delighted to be your host for today's session. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or catching the replay. We truly appreciate your time, your interest, and your engagement with Yellow Mind. Starting with the basic question, which is what is Yellow Talks and why we launched it? At Yellow Mind, our mission is simple, which is help organizations navigate complexity and succeed in their digital transformation journeys, and to stay close to our community, answer real questions, and bring clarity to evolving challenges. We created Yellow Talks. It's our space to address the most pressing questions from professionals, share practical insights and expert perspectives, explore the tools and methodologies shaping modern organizations. And each episode focuses on a topic that truly matters, whether it's project management, whether it's enterprise transformation, whether it's business process excellence. Today's session, we're diving into a discipline at the heart of operational performance, which is business process management. So today's session is all about understanding and mastering BPM. You've likely heard a lot about the importance of processes, efficiencies, workflows, automation, and continuous improvements. But what does effective BPM really look like? Why does it play a crucial role in the digital transformation world? And how can organizations use BPM to build smarter, more scalable, and more transparent workflows? Whether you're new to BPM or already working actively on process improvement, this episode will give you a clear and practical understanding of how BPM creates value. So, why does business process management matter today? Um, Organizations face high, unprecedented pressure, whether it's high customer expectations, complex processes, need for faster delivery and cross functional collaborations, rising costs, and compliance demands. This is exactly where BPM becomes strategic, as it helps organizations reduce operational complexity, improve productivity and transparency, and ensure consistent process execution. But to truly enable this level of excellence, organizations need robust BPM tools, and that leads us to today's expert guest. We're going to introduce BOC and ADONIS real quick, which is BOC Group is one of the global leaders in process management solutions, helping thousands of organizations model, analyze, optimize, and govern their business processes. Their flagship BPM platform is ADONIS. It's widely recognized for its visual simplicity, collaboration features, and powerful analysis capabilities. And at Yellow Mind, we are proud to partner with BOC Group and deliver ADONIS to clients across the regions to support process improvements, automation, and digital transformations initiatives. And today we are honored to welcome Blanca Bastos, CEO of B Structural and expert in process excellence. Blanca is actually the managing director at B Structural with over 20 years of experience, and she holds a bachelor's degree in computer science, brings experience as a consultant, executive coach, and a trainer, working with leaders and organizations across multiple industries and countries. What we know about her is that she is passionate about technology, process excellence, personal growth, and creating foundations that enable long-term impact and meaningful change. So, Blanca, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manel. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction about myself. And thank you so much for the solid introduction about the topic.
Thank you. So, We're excited to learn from your experience and explore how BPM and ADONIS can drive real operational improvements. Let's begin with a foundational question. For those discovering this field for the first time, what is business process management and why has it become such a critical discipline for modern organizations?
All right, yeah, let's start. Let's start from the very beginning. That's a very good question, Manel. So, what is business process management and why is so essential today? So, there are two parts of the questions. Let's start with the concept of business process management. So, when we talk about business process management, or BPM, as is commonly known and named, there are two parts of that concept as well. So one of the concepts is business processes, right? It's a term that is well known, but it needs to be really understood. So a business process is a series of tasks or activities that are performed by people in an organization in a sequence. It transforms one input into an output. And there are different attributes of a business process. There are roles and responsibilities. There are manual or automated tasks. There are decision points. There are risks and KPIs, etc. So a business process is a very solid concept that we need to understand to, in fact, understand BPM. Now, when we talk about management, we talk about some different things, but there is a core thing that I want to mention here, and it's metrics. Let's keep that word in mind, because documenting processes or having a set of documents stored in SharePoint or Confluence or any other document management system is not managing your processes, right? Documenting by itself is not BPM. I just wanted to clarify that before saying that business process management is a structured approach to identifying, understanding, modeling, improving, and governing business processes within an organization. Now, it has been always very relevant to any organization, but why is very important today? Why is it essential? It's because technology is advancing too fast, as we all know. And we are, as organizations, we are under pressure to adopt technology. However, if we don't understand what we do in our work every day, if we don't have the visibility, we don't know what we are automating or digitizing, and put organization at risk of losing control, wasting resources, or simply not realizing the benefits of the technology we are acquiring. So there you go. This is what BPM is and why it's so essential today.
Yes, thank you, Blanca. That's a very solid foundation. Well, one recurring challenge, let's say, in organizations is ensuring that daily operations truly support strategic objectives. How does BPM help bridge this gap between high level goals and execution on the ground?
Very important question, Manel, because as you said, there is a gap between the strategy and the operations. Right? So I would say that the strongest value of BPM in organizations is exactly that, bridging that gap between the strategy and daily operations. So we know that the strategy most of the times remains at the very top level. And the daily operations are in a little bit of a distance from that level. So BPM can close that gap by different ways. For example, creating a shared language for business, operations, and technology. By offering that shared language, the organization has a standard way to operate, to work daily. That, in a way, bridges the gaps between silos as well.
True.
BPM also helps with aligning strategic goals, KPIs, and outcomes with our processes. So that way, we can identify which processes actually add high value to business or customers and which ones don't. Right? So with BPM, we also identify inefficiencies, bottlenecks, and we can improve those processes to make sure that they support the strategy. Something else that is also important is BPM enables an impact analysis.
Yes.
What it means is BPM offers that data, that information that we call process intelligence to make sure our leaders make the right decisions. So BPM definitely enables the transition between a strategy and execution, and it allows the company to measure what is supporting those goals and where the company wants to go.
Thank you, Blanca. Yes, that's a great answer. And this actually leads us to a question that every leader asks. When executives ask, why should we invest in BPM? What exactly do you highlight as the main value drivers?
Yeah. All right. Well, I can mention different benefits, right? I will mention benefits like improving the efficiency and the standardization in the company, right? So if we have processes that we can visualize, we can measure, and we can improve, definitely that translates into more efficiency. If we also have BPM and we can manage our processes, then we can reduce operational risks and errors because now we see where the inefficiencies are. It enables collaboration across departments because the thing is, I'm sure that many people, most of people, want to do their work really well. They want to contribute with the company. But when they work in silos, not even on purpose, is without even realizing that lack of integration between silos causes a lot of problems to the organization. So closing those gaps is a great benefit for companies, and BPM helps with that. Onboarding and training new employees. This is something that many people will relate to. We know that starting in a new company could be really confronting if we don't have clarity on what our roles are and how we can contribute to the strategy. So with BPM, onboarding and training is faster and easier. We also are at a better position for better compliance and audits. When companies are going to get audited, they get really nervous as they don't have the visibility of the processes. Something really important that I don't want to forget is foundational for automation and digitalization. So digital transformation programs require that foundation, which comes from BPM, from business process management. Mm-hmm. So it allows us as well to get stronger decision making through the processing sides. So I could continue listing other benefits, but I think those are really solid to understand the benefits of BPM.
Yes, you really did answer our question. Um, okay, so moving on to the next one. Of course, Blanca, as with any organizational effort, there are challenges. From your experience, let's say, what are the most common obstacles organizations face when establishing BPM practices?
Mm. Yeah, very important. So one of the most important um, challenges I have seen in different companies, regardless of the industry, is the lack of process ownership. That's very important because people get confused about owning a function versus owning processes. That's different. Why? Because processes are cross functional, right? So the fact that someone is the CFO of a company doesn't translate directly that is the owner of business processes regarding finance, because finance could be connected with so many other business units. That's just an example. It applies for any other unit. So on the same track, I can talk about a challenge of no documentation at all, or documentation by silos. So I have seen that type of common challenges when organizations want to implement BPM. Another one is resistance to standardization. Sometimes people don't want to standardize because they feel a little bit limited, but believe me, it's exactly the other way around. And something very, very important is the lack of a platform where they can manage their business processes. So what is the solution for that? So definitely um, defining the process governance is key, including stakeholders and decision makers from the very beginning of implementing BPM is also very important. In definitely choosing the right platform to manage the processes is key to overcome those challenges.
Thank you, Blanca. This actually brings us naturally to the question of choosing the right tool. We all know that there are many BPM and process modeling tools out there. What capabilities should organizations focus on when choosing a platform like Adonis?
Yep. Yeah, as you said, there are different BPM platforms in the market. But before answering that, I just want to clarify which tools are not BPM tools. And this is important because I have
Yes.
seen that confusion as well, right? Like sometimes people believe that Microsoft's Visio is a BPM tool. No, it's not. Visio is an excellent tool where you can draw different type of diagrams, either processes or any other type of workflows or graphs. But it's not a tool to manage BPM. Same with Lucid Chart or Power BI. None of those are business process management tools, right? So now, what a BPM tool should look like, right, to be selected. So my recommendation, it should be easy and intuitive to use, not only by experts in BPM, right, but also for any user, even for those that only have read access only, because everybody in the company is now going to use the tool, right? So it has to be easy, intuitive, and friendly for any type of users, provers, modelers, etc. So the interface has to be really powerful, and the visualization has to be really clear as well. Simple but clear. It should offer strong collaboration because between teams, as I said before, there are different type of users, right? And even those users who don't have the ability to make changes in the processes, they could communicate with the process owner by making comments or questions that the process owner receives straight away. That's important to have the type of interaction. The performance about dashboards and KPIs and
Yes.
analysis. We need to have that data out of our processes. So it has to be a single source of truth for your processes. So integration with other tools as well is very important. So that type of things are very important to look at when a company is selecting a BPM tool.
Okay. So, speaking of tools, Adonis has built a strong reputation in the BPM world. It is widely recognized in the BPM community as well. My question here is, what differentiates Adonis from other BPM platforms?
So Adonis is by far my preferred BPM tool. That's something that is important to mention. That's the tool that the structural recommends the most. We have worked with different tools, and by our experience, we have determined that Adonis brings all the characteristics that I mentioned before and even more. One. So Adonis is easy to use, is intuitive. It gives the possibility of collaboration among teams, is ready to use, is easy to implement, right? And it, it can collaborate with other tools, right? Like example, we have other tools. So Adonis, as you mentioned at the beginning, is from BOC Group. And BOC Group has another couple of tools, ADO IT for enterprise architecture and ADO GRC for risk management. And Adonis works really well with both of them. So Adonis is easy to incorporate and it doesn't require to be a huge expert in BPM. So it considers all users in a good way. So that's one of the reasons why I definitely like, and I can compare to other tools because, as I said before, I have used other good tools as well. So, for
Yes.
example, Aris. Aris is a very strong tool to use as well. Actually, Adonis, Aris, and Camunda, they are as the top three of the tools using BPMN 2.0, which is the notation or the international notation for managing processes or modeling processes. And they are in the top three. So ARIS, being a very good tool as well, is quite powerful. The difference between the two is one, ARIS could get a little bit more complex and it might require more experts in BPM, and it might be more expensive as well. So it could be a little bit more complicated to set up and to do customization for the organizations, while Adonis is lighter and match friendly. That's kind of my conclusion about Adonis.
Very nice take on Adonis. So, Blanca, many organizations they want to start process improvement, but they don't know where to begin. If someone wants to kickstart their BPM journey, what practical steps should they take to achieve quick wins using Adonis?
Great question. You're absolutely right. It's not necessarily, very clear where to start when we are talking about BPM. So my recommendation to the very beginning is to assess what we call the business process management maturity level of the company. I'm not going to extend the whole concept of maturity levels, but it's just to determine where the organization is at managing their business processes. right? So it could be that they have only SOPs, which is something, it's better than nothing. Or it could be that they acquire a tool, but they don't know how to use it. Or there could be different type of levels, one where organizations are at. So by determining where the company is and also deciding where they want to go in terms of the levels is a very good start. Now, there are different approaches, right? You can do top down type of approach where we can determine the process architecture, how the processes will be organized at a very high level, and also establishing the governance of those processes for the organization, and then decide where to start, which process is the most important to start with. Or it could be an approach that we have like bottom up. We can say, okay, I'm going to take this process, which is high value for the company. We already know is not performing perfectly fine, and we're going to make sure that we model it and we improve it straight away to get quick wins. That's also an approach to do it, and definitely to, as I said before, to choose the right BPM tool for the company and
Yeah.
to get consultants or experts involved. Why is that? It's not about the consultants telling organizations how they should do the processes. Is for the subject matter experts to work in conjunction with the consultants, because the consultant will help you model your process the best way convenient for the organization. So basically define the maturity level, define the approach, work with the consultants, and choose the right BPM tool.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Blanca. And actually, now is the part that many attendees are waiting for. Blanca, please, could you give us a short live demo of Adonis? You know, just something simple to highlight its modeling capabilities and ease of use.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me just go here and share my screen. So I'm just looking to my other monitor to make sure that Adonis is on, and I will try to share my screen. Just give me a couple of seconds and I will be sharing the
Of
demo.
course.
Right.
So, Blanca, well, apparently Blanca has some issues with the internet. Um, We will try to wait for a few minutes until she's back with the live demo. In the meantime, if you have any questions already prepared, you can ask them ahead. Blanca, we are waiting for you. Hopefully, this is going to take only a few seconds until she's back.
Hello, hello, hello. I think I'm here, back here.
Welcome again, Blanca. You scared us for a second there.
I know, I know. Me too. I was talking on my own, believe me.
It's okay. So, back to the demo.
Get back to the demo. Let me see if I'm still um here I am. You will let me know when you can see my screen.
Okay.
Can you see it now? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Manel, are you there?
Yes, I am here. You can proceed
Awesome,
with the
awesome,
demo. Floor is yours.
awesome. That's amazing. Thank you, thank you. As you know, technology is always there, doing their own thing. Anyways, so ADONIS is a web-based tool and can open it in any of the explorers. And so you will see the first thing that you see in this particular example that I'm going to show is one of the three scenarios. There is explore, design document release. I will explain a little bit of each of them. Let's start with read and explore. Read and explore is for everybody in the company who has access to the system and not necessarily will have um, writing privileges on the tool. So in this particular case, what we are seeing is an example of a fictitious bank called ADONIS Bank. This is nobody's data. This is data that was created by BOC Group for demo purposes. Now, what is this first landing page that we see here? Is what we call the business process architecture. Best practices say that we categorize our processes in three groups: management processes, core processes, and support processes. So they call it differently: strategic processes, enablers, etc. And it's flexible enough to do it the way you want, but this way is the best practice. So what we see is we have some other little boxes within each box, because we in the process architecture, we have the three main categories, and then we have process areas, process groups. So there are different levels until we get to what we know a business process diagram. Some people call it swim lane diagram, different ways to call the same thing. So if we navigate, because that's the whole idea about having this type of tools, if we navigate, we can start going to different process groups. For example, if this is a bank, financing is a core process. Maybe for other type of industry, financing is a support process. That's why it differs from company to company, because at the end is your business process. So if I to financing, we will see how that process area has been modeled for this particular bank. It doesn't have to be that way. This is the way that the company found convenient for them to do. So we have here different things that we can see into different groups. I'm checking here just in case I have any comments or questions to answer. And so we see these and I'll explain a little bit about them. And we continue navigating. Please remember, this is a repository. It's a database of your processes. And that's why before I mentioned that having a set of documents stored in SharePoint is not managing your business processes, right? And also, we have to understand that a business process is not necessarily an SOP. An SOP is a thing, and we can see it here. I will show you a little bit later. We see here a business process diagram that belongs to a previous process group, a previous process area, and to the whole. It's a diagram like this, or you can have a simple one. It depends on the nature of the process. It's easy to read because it's in a breakaway. So we have such, we have set of tasks, and we also have set of attributes, sequence, and it's easy to understand for everyone. Most of people know how to read a workflow. So we also see a set of attributes to different items within the repository. We also see over the mouse, over any of the items, we see information. Why? Because there is information stored about that particular item. This is a database. So there are symbols that straight away, even without opening each item, we will know what it is. There is documentation attached to this process step. That could be an SOP, for example, or that could be a policy, could be anything that we use to form this process step. And there are, for example, the responsible role for this task. We also see that there are two process roles or process actors, as we call it as well, within this process. So people like to see processes in a diagram way, as it's my case. I don't understand processes unless I see the diagram, but some other people prefer lists or tables. And the tool offers that for people to see it differently. So if I go to table mode, you will see it differently, and it pleases different tastes. For example, you will see the same information, but in a different way. You can do it in text as well, and you will see the same. So as I mentioned before, each attribute counts. It's very important. So you can have description of any of these process steps or any other item within the process. And you will see when you open the notebook, you can see general information, you can see the name of the step, you can see the description, you will see the type of task, you can see the race, who performs this task, who is responsible for this. You can see the input, the output, the systems associated with this process step, the risks, etc. So there is a lot of information that we have about our processes. Also, we can have it at the process level. So if you open the properties of the process, you can see, for example, who the owner is. That's really important. This is not something that you will have if you were in Visio, or even worse, if you were having your processes only in Word documents, right? So this is the power of having a single source of truth for your processes. So you will see a lot of information for your processes. And the most or the more you feed your system, the better data will give you. So this is just a very, very, very high and quick view of this scenario. we're going to explore. There are many other things, but let's go to the other scenario where we have the design and document, just to
Mhm.
explore how easy it could be to model a process. Because as I said before, it's easy and intuitive. Adonis is easy and intuitive. I click here in this button, new. I have a set of elements or objects that I can create. In here, I have the ones that I use the most, and that's why they are in the recommendations. And I will choose business process. And now I have an empty canvas to start my process. So I could just pool, we call this a pool, and then we can actually add a couple of swim lanes, right? Well, let me. Yep. So we have quickly a structure, and then definitely we always have to start with a start event. And then you will see this when we have this helper, let's say that way, we can start to add process steps here quickly, right? And the system will help me to do that. I can add decision points. I can have sub processes, right? And I can add more and more as I want. So it's as simple as you see it, how I can move tasks and create different things. And I can continue, and then I will say, now I'm going to finish this process here. Something very simple. And then I can start to name these tasks the way I want. So I can say whatever I think, identify the risk, or yeah, anything that you consider, right? So it's as easy as you are seeing here. You, you can see how quickly I just built a frame for us for a short process. And I can add more, right? Because usually a process is not that small. So I can drag things from here and say, like, to add another task here, or simply add a different type of gateway here, right? So for each of these items, there is help, there is explanation of what it is. So it's really, really intuitive. It's really easy to learn. It just requires a little bit of practice. So it doesn't require such an expertise in BPMN. So now I have a process. Of course, I will have to put a name for the pool, and I can have assign some roles. For example, I can just go here in objects and add some roles, right? Anything. I don't even know. I'm not making any sense in terms of the roles here. It's just to add any role here, right? I assign the role to this swim lane, and it's as easy as dragging this, and then I will assign the other one. So it's as simple as that, very intuitive and easy. We also have that's a way to do it. So I can save it, and I can put any name like test and save it to in my repository. And but there is also very good as well that you can do. You can ask Adonis for help using the AI assistant. So
Mhm.
let's say that we want to use this one. Manel, you were going to say something.
No, no, carry on.
I thought you were saying something, Manel. Sorry. Great. Okay, so this is a little bit slow for me today. And I just want to put this here because I'm looking for some instructions to create a process, right? I just put some notes here for me to um,
Yeah.
okay, so let's say like to help me with create a process, right? So then I put here create a business process for onboard to employee. Then I put that's a very common process. The process should happen with a candidate accepts an offer and when the employee is flexible, include the main activities, key decision points, involved roles. So you put everything. You can also put here add roles and descriptions, and you generate the process here. It might take a little bit of time, but it will help you to put your process together as a base. Of course, this is a good help, but please remember this is your process and you want to make sure that your process is as accurate as possible. It's completely up to you. You just received a little bit of help, right? So now I have a process where I have a start point, I have a name, I have the roles and responsibilities, and I have a description. Even if I open this, I will have some descriptions that, of course, I can reach with something else, right? So there's a little bit of a description here that I can change the way I want, and I can do many things with my process, but at least I have a base in just 2 minutes or so. That's something that I really like
Yes.
about ADONIS as well. This is really, really, really helpful. Especially with time, right? It helps with time. So if we go to see a little bit of analysis, right? Because this is not a demo. This is just a quick, I mean, a proper demo that requires like an hour or so, where you can see all the functionalities, mainly view of the tool. We can see other little things that could be really helpful. For example, when we have the view, the high level view of all the processes in the company, we can go and do some analysis on some reports, for example, or charts. So let's say that I do color here, to enable color, and then probably I say process, then and then say what type of information I want. And let's say that I want automation benefits, right? So straight away, not magically, because you have to feed your system with the right information about your processes for the tool to generate the right insights. For example, automation benefits. So the high automation benefits are in payments and projects. So straight away, if you have a digital transformation program, you have an idea where to start. Otherwise, you will be blind trying to automate whatever you think is convenient to do. Also, you could have automation costs because that could be beneficial, but probably costly. And then you see the high is actually financing is high to automate. I mean, probably expensive, manage deposits and investment security transactions. So there are different things that you can see here, and you can create your own analysis. I'm not showing everything because of time. Um, but yeah, you can do that type of things in in ADONIS, right? So benefits, automation potential, etc. So the payment here remains valid. And well, I'm just conscious about time. There are other type of analysis we could do, but let me see if I find any type of analysis that is already done, just to show you a little bit of, maybe I find something. Maybe I can go for something like this. I don't remember the names of this analysis, but that's similar to what I just showed in a different way, because this is automation potential. See what we have. This is analysis that it was done, and then you can save it, and it will show you the most up-to-date data every time that you run this analysis. This is a different one. This is process activity responsibilities. You can have a set of processes and also see the RACI about all those processes. So there are many things that you do with ADONIS to manage your business processes. I think I'm going to leave it here because
Yes.
I'm just conscious about time.
Yes. But thank
Yeah.
you,
So I
Blanca.
will stop sharing.
Okay. So, anyway, thank you, Blanca. That was a great and very insightful demonstration of Adonis in action. And I'm sure many of you found it valuable to see how BPM can be transformed from a theoretical concept into a practical, collaborative, and data driven capability. Now, we want to make this session even more useful for you, so we will open the floor for questions and answers, and we answer them. But as I see here that we already have some questions in line, let's begin with the first question. How to bridge the gap between strategy and operations using BPM?
Yeah, so that's a little bit what we were saying before. But one of the things probably I didn't show that in the demo, but we can define KPIs, right? So we can define KPIs to different processes, different process steps, and we can run analysis about the KPIs. So we can measure which processes add value to the strategy, which processes are actually serving the strategy, and which processes are not. So KPIs is one of them. Um, High value processes could be also identified if we add the right information about our processes. There is also the possibility of adding risks and controls. Risk and controls will help us as well to execute the strategy. So there are different ways. The most important part is to understand our strategic goals and to make sure that we manage our processes and we model our processes to support um,
Yes.
strategy.
Yes, thank you, Blanca. So the second question is, can Adonis BPM address different processes conflicts?
Yeah, that's a very general question, but I would say absolutely yes, because first, having the standardization and having visibility of all processes, we can determine if there is rework, which is usually a big conflict when we're talking about processes. And one of the main reasons is the lack of visibility. And some units are doing exactly the same as other units, or even more. Some units will um, plan some projects. Probably somebody else in the organization is already planning the same project. With BPM, as you notice, you have a huge view of the processes. So yeah, addresses
Yeah,
different process conflicts.
thank you again for the answer. Moving on to the next question, we have what are the integration capabilities slash limitations with external systems and platforms, for example, ServiceNow?
Yeah, so the integration will always depend on different factors within the company. So definitely, if your processes are well managed and also well modeled and with clear ownership, then it's easier to integrate with other platforms. That's the foundational part of it. That's not the technical part of it, right? But that one has to be really solid. And then the integration. So for Adonis, for example, there are a set of plugins to ensure that there is connection with other tools. ServiceNow is one of them, for sure. Also, which is a little bit different, but it's part of the capabilities. If a company had previously some process diagrams in BPMN 2.0, and now they decide to use Adonis, then it's easy to import those processes because Adonis is really BPMN 2.0 oriented and is up to date with all the standards about importing or exporting BPMN 2.0 type of diagrams.
Okay, we hope we answered your questions. And Blanca, thank you for this insightful and practical discussion. I really enjoyed it. and your expertise in BPM and Adonis has definitely brought tremendous value today. To everyone who joined us, thank you for being part of Yellow Talks episode 3. And I would like to mention to please take a moment to fill out our form for short feedback and interests so we can continue supporting your BPM initiatives. So stay tuned for Yellow Talks episode 4, definitely coming soon. Again, Blanca, thank you again for this discussion.
Thank
We
you
really
so much.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Manel. Thank you for your guidance on the webinar. Thank you, everybody who attended. And thank you so much to those who are going to see the recording. And
Absolutely.
the demo was a little bit short. I tried my best to show the best of Adonis, but believe me, there is much more. Anytime you can contact us for a full demonstration.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Manel.